Welcome, everybody. This is Shanon, and he's Mark, and this episode is being recorded on October 30th, which is, up until a few years ago, I didn't realize there was a specific name for October 30th, and I don't know if this is really a real thing in the real world or not, but today is Devil's Night.
Creepy.
Yeah, did you ever hear of that before?
Is that the Halloween Eve?
Yeah, so...
Is that what they call it?
Yeah, and
okay.
The only reason why I'm making such a big deal of it is because that is the context of the movie that we are talking about this episode. And when this movie first came out back in the mid-90s, 1994... I never really thought of it as a Halloween movie. And then probably, I want to say maybe 10 years ago, its name kept popping up on all of these different, like, top 10 Halloween-themed movies and, you know, top 10 holiday movies and all this other stuff. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? That's weird. And I don't know why I'm trying to keep it a secret, because you guys clicked on the link in your podcasting app or went to our site and clicked on the play button. We're talking about The Crow, but The Crow is always one of those movies, up until I said like 10 years ago, I never really thought of it as a holiday movie or a Halloween movie. Every time I watch it, I always have to think of The Crow being related to Halloween, kind of like how Die Hard is related to Christmas. And I don't know what you guys do at your house, Mark, but we always watch Die Hard like either on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day around here.
Do you really?
Yeah, I mean, that's when it happens. It's at a Christmas party, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, for Christmas, we don't really do, I think we toss out just kind of the general common stuff. But yeah, no major traditions like that, I guess. It's just sort of sporadic throughout December.
What about the Gremlins? Do you watch Gremlins at Christmas time?
That's a great idea, but no, I haven't.
See, yeah, it's one of those things, but...
I was going to say we got to toss in Krampus now. Forgot about that one. That could be a new tradition.
Yeah, that was a good movie. With The Crow, it just, like I said, probably 10 years ago, I saw it popping up on some of these lists. And I remember seeing this movie when it came out, because this movie did have a lot of hype when it did come out, because, I mean, this was in 94 when it came out, but this was kind of really before everybody and their brother had the internet. This was at the tail end of when, at least when I was still watching MTV all the time. I don't know about you, but, you know, MTV still kind of played music videos a little bit. I mean, they were kind of getting into the shows. But you always watched MTV for the MTV News and all this other stuff. There was all this talk on MTV about how this movie was coming out, and Brandon Lee, who was the star of the movie, was accidentally killed on set by a gunshot. It was like right before they were wrapping the shooting on the movie. And again, this was in 1994, so... it was a big deal because there's supposedly a couple of scenes in the movie that the Brandon Lee character was digitally recreated. I've never done too much digging into it. I don't know if you have or not. I've never really found what scenes those actually were that were supposedly digitally recreated. There's a few scenes in there that they're not showing his face through a couple of the shots, and so I would assume that there's a couple of the scenes where it's a stunt double instead of him. I never really did too much digging in to see what was actually recreated and what wasn't.
No, you know, it's funny because this movie, I was a huge fan of this movie when it came out. Back in 93, I saw it in the theater, I remember that, and I was hooked. And then when it came out on video, I had to have it, and I remember, I loved this film. I remember my whole senior year watching it like practically every day, especially in the earlier part of the year. Loved the soundtrack, had the STP song on there, and I was actually Eric Draven for Halloween that year. So
Cool.
I was very very much into this movie. One of those movies that kind of I've shelved and I haven't really gone back and revisited, which kind of is like, again, for 90s movies, that's pretty much normal for me. For some reason, I just never go back to the 90s for some reason. But this movie, like, watching it again, I just was like, how good it was. I forgot like every little scene and every little nuance of the film, just great. And it's funny because I never went back and looked up all these like little tidbits of trivia about the film like I have other films, that are favorites of mine. So it's like kind of now sort of new to me and kind of makes me want to go back and really dig around and see like the whole thing with like you said, like which scenes were the digital version of and what's the whole deal. But I mean, like his death, like figure out what happened. And it's so basically they had a gun with blank rounds, but then they used like a dummy bullet inside, and then like they're supposed to take the dummy bullet out of the barrel and it was already in there and they switched it or something. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
This whole thing. I'm going to have to go back and really check this out.
Yeah, and I'm sure somebody that's listening might know a little bit more into that. And if you do, please feel free to let us know, because, yeah, it's one of those things, and I'm the same way. I remember this movie coming out in the mid-'90s, and as we've said before, the 90s were a really weird time for horror. And so this movie came out right in the middle of all of that. And honestly, even though watching this movie nowadays, I don't know if I would technically consider this a horror movie. I mean, it's got some horror aspects to it. Number one being the main character in this movie is technically a zombie, I guess, if you want to get technical about it.
Yeah, he really is.
This one, and then there was, what was it, the Prophecy or whatever it was that came out in the mid-'90s. Is that the right one I'm thinking of? I think so. Were all these like kind of noir movies that were kind of pushing the boundaries between the supernatural, and this one too kind of had a little bit of a feel of this, but not only just pushing the boundaries of the supernatural elements, but kind of also kind of delving into some religion and anti-religion aspects as well. That you had all these movies that were coming out in the mid-'90s that were not satanic, but you did have a lot that were kind of pushing is God real, and is this real, and are there angels, and all this other kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm the same way as you. I watched this movie a bunch when it first came out, and then I guess forgot about it. Maybe not the correct term, but yeah. And then when I started seeing it pop up on all these lists, and I was like, oh, maybe I should check that out again. I think I used to like that movie. The first time I popped it in, it clicked right away when they were talking about Devil's Night. I was like, oh, that's why it's a Halloween movie, because Devil's Night's the night before Halloween. Got it. And then it was just, it gets into stuff, and you're like, wow, this is a good movie. And then it's a family not a family tradition. It's a Shanon tradition in this house. I always watch it. Usually I watch it on the day before Halloween. It is a fantastic movie. I really, really enjoy it.
We should also mention it's based off of a graphic novel, which I never read, but I remember hearing about that back before the movie was released, because there was a lot of hype about it because of Brandon Lee's death, and I think that's what actually kind of got the movie rolling. Had it not been for that, I don't know how successful it would have been, but knowing that this was his final film, and being that he's the son of Bruce Lee and all of that really kind of got it going. But yeah, it's a really, really good film. I mean, it's a basic story, it's just a revenge story. Guy and his girlfriend or fiance are basically murdered, in their apartment loft by a bunch of thugs, and he comes back from the grave. Basically, there's like a kind of a supernatural element to the story with a crow can I guess, revive the soul of somebody to go and seek revenge on those who did them wrong in life. And so, like, kind of like, it's a revenge story. So he comes back from the grave and goes and seeks out all these bad guys, I guess you could call them, and one by one kind of picks them off, and until you get to the last guy. And it's good, great film. But like, I mean, it's basic story, but it's just really well done. Very gothic film, very dark, a lot of dark themes. My son brought this up, and I thought it was kind of an interesting connection. But I don't know if you're familiar with the original RoboCop. This movie has a lot in common with that, and especially the thugs, like the way the bad guys act, and like just the over the top kind of mentality, and the insanity. It's very parallel to RoboCop. And when you're watching RoboCop go back and kill all those bad guys, it's very similar to this. Yeah, it's a great film.
The Eric Draven character, even though he's viewed as outlaw by some in the movie, it does take, like you had said, some elements from RoboCop. I always thought it kind of borrowed from Batman a little bit as well, to where he was this vigilante fighting crime, if you will, on his own. Because, yeah, he did take revenge on the people that wronged him, but then there's also the pawn shop owner who, that guy didn't technically do anything wrong to him, but because he's buying all of the stolen goods off of these thugs, he basically blows up his shop to get revenge on everybody.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's even a scene in there where he's got this box of engagement rings, and he says something along the lines of, each one of these represent a soul you have harmed, or something along those lines. It's not, like I said before, it's not really your average horror movie, but I do know that it does get thrown in the horror realm quite a bit. And
probably for the dark tone.
Yeah, because I was going to say, too, because I have a bunch of these reaction horror figures, and they say even, like, horror series right on the packaging, and The Crow is one of the characters that I do have.
That's right. Speaking of that action figure, too, I finally, after watching the movie again, I finally figured out what that little item is that comes with the figure. I was like, why did they package that little... It looks like a weather vane or something with him, and then it's like at the end of the movie, he like breaks off that piece of metal that's like shaped like a pyramid or whatever to fight the last guy from the top of the church.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, that's what it is. Okay, that's the accessory that he comes with.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. The other notable thing about this movie, at least for me when I saw it back in the 94, when it first came out, is that the police sergeant that he kind of buddies up with in this movie is played by Ernie Hudson, who is one of the Ghostbusters.
Right.
And I always thought that was kind of cool. Like, oh, hey, it's one of the guys from the Ghostbusters. It's the black guy from the Ghostbusters. I couldn't remember his name ever, but
he was, and he's what perfectly cast as that cop too.
Yeah. And I don't know. Every time I see this movie, I love that character. I love that cop. He plays in this movie. If you haven't seen The Crow, the cop in this movie is kind of the standard cop that you see in stories like this, to where he's kind of the good cop, if you will, and he's just out there, doing his job. He wants to protect the people and do what's right and this and that. He friends the vigilante because he knows it's the right thing to do. And, there's a couple of scenes where he's like buying this little girl who isn't homeless but might as well be for part of the movie. He's buying her food and making sure she's doing all right. And he knows that what he's doing is the best thing that is what should be done. And he's perfect in that role. But I don't know other than that, what else he's really done besides this and Ghostbusters? I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff, but if you ask me what else he's been in, I couldn't tell you.
And what about the guy? The guy with the long hair.
The long-haired guy, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he's an interesting actor too. You know, he was in Alien Resurrection. That's where I mean that's this and Alien Resurrection, the only two movies that I'm particularly well. Well, funny enough, guess what other movie he's in? I just found out. I had no idea, and can't even picture who he is in this. He's in Curtains.
Nice.
So yeah, I don't know who he is in Curtains.
He's Matthew in Curtains. Come on, man.
That is funny.
Did you ever get Curtains on DVD?
I have a bootleg. I never got the Synapse films like that. They have that Blu-ray version that came out. It's all cleaned up with extras and all that stuff. Never got it.
Oh, do you have a real DVD of it though, or is it just like a bootleg version of it?
No, it's a bootleg.
Oh, okay, because mine is the one I have on DVD. It's one that came in like I think it's like 4 other movies or something.
Oh no! You know what? I have that too. I have one of those copies that came in like one of those multi-pack DVDs.
Yep. I think that's. Or maybe I don't have it. Maybe did I give that to you? I thought.
No. I got it at Walmart. And
okay, maybe I told you it was at Walmart. Then okay.
Yeah. But that copy that you and I have that's on that is they basically just ripped it off the VHS.
Right. Yep.
So the quality's crap. But there's a really super cleaned up version out there that was a big deal a few years ago when they finally released it, and they put some extras on there and all kinds of stuff. And so, if you're a fan of that movie, that's the copy to have.
Yeah, it's weird because I don't like that movie, but it's because of you. It's always one of those movies like, oh, I should watch that again.
It's one of those. Yeah, it's one of those movies. It's not a good movie. But it's just got one of those. It's one of those. It's a perfect movie that should be remade, but it's because of its history and its kind of weirdness, and it's kind of a legendary film because a lot of people remember it, and then it was gone for so long, and then now it's accessible. You can pick it up outside the bootlegs and all. So that's pretty cool. So I got to get Curtains on VHS if I can ever find that. That's got to be probably pretty hard.
Oh, I got a guy that I should ask him about.
Yeah, see if it's available.
Yeah, there's a guy I follow that he comes across some pretty interesting stuff, and he does trades all the time and stuff. I should send him a message to see about.
That's cool.
VHS, that'd be cool. I got a couple of things I'd probably be willing to trade for it too for you.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, if he has it, I don't know. We'll see. But that's the thing with VHS hunting where I live is, I only have like 2 spots in town that I go to, and the one seems to change up a little bit. Every once in a while, I'll have some luck. But the other place, I haven't bought a tape there in 6 months. They don't ever seem to have anything other than the standards. They have freaking 19 different tapes of When Harry Met Sally and
right.
Stand By Me and some of the like E.T.'s another big one. You can find E.T. all the time, like still in the shrink wrap. It's kind of funny.
That is funny. That's a funny movie. That's one of those movies that was huge in its day, but it doesn't really have much of a thing going on for it now. And it's kind of funny because Carpenter's The Thing, it's like the reverse of that. Like that movie was completely shunned when it came out in the theaters back in the early 80s because it came out the same year as E.T. But now, everybody talks about it like it's my favorite movie ever.
Oh, speaking of that, I saw a post earlier today about a guy that was watching Ghost of Mars, which is a horrible, horrible John Carpenter movie.
Uh-huh.
And the guy had made the comment on there he's like, oh, this is one of the most underrated Carpenter movies, blah, blah, blah. He's like, the 20-year mark could be coming up here in a few years on this one, though, so probably right about that time it hits the 20-year mark, then everybody will be like, "This is a great movie."
Probably, yeah. Never saw it. I did see the trailer, and that was enough.
Yeah, I watched that one and a couple other of his real stinkers when we did our Carpenter episode last year or whenever that was in preparation for that one. I think that should be a contingent deal from now on. If we're going to do something about somebody that we both have to suffer through the movies.
Yeah, I kind of got lazy at that one. I didn't get a chance to see them all. Wanted to see him, though, because I wanted to kind of see all of his stuff, but I think I probably just tossed Halloween in again at that time. And They Live, and
yeah,
Halloween
watching his good ones like 4 times over doesn't count the same.
Doesn't count, right?
No. But that's like when we were doing when we did a tribute to Wes Craven, and we watched Deadly Friend, which is kind of funny. This is the second episode in a row that we've talking about that movie, but that's one of those movies when I first watched it, I was like, eh. But now thinking back on it, I'm like, yeah, you know what? That wasn't that bad. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool concept. Could have been. It's another one of those perfect movies to be remade, because there's something there, but it just didn't work out that well
That's
the first time.
What we should do is screw Platinum Dunes. We should come up with our own movie company and just start remaking the movies that we want to be remade. Screw all the big like slasher stuff. Let's remake all these crappy movies that all these horror icons made, and they were just crappy. But yeah, back to The Crow. I mean, I don't know how much more I can say about it other than it's just one of these movies that you throw it in and you kick back. At first, it seems a little confusing what's kind of happening, but then they kind of revisit everything at the end, or not at the end, but throughout the movie. So if you've never seen it before, and then you go back and you're watching it now, and you weren't listening to what we said before at the beginning of the show, then you'll catch on pretty quick what's happening. The one thing that, even though I know it was like The Crow, they said, could resurrect a soul to seek revenge on him, on things he was done wrong, or however you want to say it. Other than that, they never really explained how Brandon Lee came back to life. They're just like, oh yeah, this crow did it. Like, what? How'd that happen?
Yeah, that's the one thing about this. You gotta just kind of. I remember the first time I saw it. It kind of like I remember thinking like, yeah, okay, it's not much of this is explained, and we don't quite understand it, but I'm just gonna accept that that's what it is. And even like the ending, where they come up with the idea, like where they figure it out that, like the main villain and his girlfriend, henchman, or whoever, they're like, oh, the way that we can stop him, because Brandon Lee's pretty much invincible throughout the whole movie. You shoot him, he comes back. He can't be hurt, but they somehow figure out that if they kill the crow, because there's always a crow flying around near him, if they kill the crow, it'll kill him. And it was kind of tossed in there at the end, like, yeah, let's do that. Okay. And then so that's like the plan for the last 10 minutes of the movie. But again, it's, you kind of look at that. That's fine. Okay. It's the movie's so good, I think, and the acting is really good. I mean, Brandon Lee, I've never seen any of his other stuff, and I mean, I know he didn't do a whole lot before it, but this character was just made for him, and he just nails it out of the park. I mean, even his little nuances, just the little things he says, and the way he kind of moves his head, and I mean, just little things throughout the whole film. He just really captures the character. I mean, I forgot about some of the stuff, like the scene where he falls into the dumpster and is laughing, and so go see it. Go watch The Crow. You could put it in your Halloween to do movie list, and I give it thumbs up.
Yeah, so do I. And if you're going to throw it in your Halloween to watch list, you might want to hurry up, because this is...
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, no, it's not getting dark yet. But it's... Devil's Night is tonight, so tomorrow's Halloween, so you have Well, you better go watch it as soon as you hit stop on the podcast here.
You don't have much time. Get on it now.
So this one wraps up our Halloween-themed movies of 2016. So
Woohoo!
We squeezed in 4 again this year, so we'll do...
We did good.
We'll do the same thing next October. I was reading something earlier today that was talking about how people who aren't horror fans or big Halloween type people always get weird looks from people who are like big like Christmas celebrators and stuff, and they're always like, what? So you're hanging up Christmas lights like in the middle of October, but yet you're going to give me a weird look because I celebrate Halloween for a whole month? Come on.
Halloween used to start for me in August. This year has been a little different, but I used to kind of get the bug used to start to bite me at the end of August. It's Halloween time.
See, I always try to wait till right around October 1st, and then the past couple of years, always like, all right, it's October, I'm going to watch a scary movie every night. And this year, we were talking before we started recording how it just hadn't happened for either one of us this year for some reason. But
oh, it's been bad.
Yeah, hopefully I get back into
I was just going to say, the movie I didn't see this year, which I watched every year for the last, 10 years, was The Fog. That's, the first movie I always, for whatever reason, I always start with that one. I'm like, oh, I like this. I'm going to start with this one. And I haven't watched that yet. There's a website I go to called dinosaurdracula.com. And it's like a pop culture kind of thing. It's this guy, Matt. He runs it, and he just does random weird stuff. I think September he starts what he calls the Halloween countdown, and then he does basically a countdown of I don't know how many things. Every year he'll come up with maybe 20 different items, and he'll review them. I mean, it could be something like the new Halloween cereal of the year, or just all kind of pop culture stuff, or VHS tapes that the best 5 horror VHS tapes, that kind of stuff, or horror action figures, or anything, all the stuff that you and I talk about. This guy is on it. So I've been every year starting around September, I'm usually really following his countdown, his Halloween countdown. So check it out if you haven't seen it.
What did you say it was again?
Dinosaur Dracula.
Dinosaur Dracula. Cool.
Read some of blogs. They're absolutely funny. He's got in this current countdown, you can go back and he used to run a website called X Entertainment, and it was the same stuff, and he this is just his new version of it basically. If you go back, and there's some really funny stuff in some of the things he writes up, but if you go to this countdown, just click that banner up front, the Dinosaur Dracula Halloween 2016 countdown. And it'll show you you can go through and check all his writings so far.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
The one thing I will throw out there is, so every year we do a family-friendly sort of Halloween episode. We talk about something that's kind of family-friendly. And the past 2 years we've actually talked about what essentially were TV specials. Last year we did Charlie Brown. This year we did Disney's The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. So if any of you guys that are listening have any suggestions of other family-friendly horror-related, vaguely horror-related probably if it's family-friendly ideas, they don't just necessarily have to be for Halloween. They could be for other episodes as well. But if you just want to let us know, that'd be cool. Contact info is coming up here shortly. Because I think that's always one of the things where, if you guys have suggestions you want to hear us talk about, please let us know. And it doesn't have to be family friendly either. If there's anything at all you guys want us to talk about, as long as it's horror related, even though we kind of got off track with our Star Wars episode last year. Or was that earlier this year we did that?
Probably this year.
It probably was,
Yeah, because
yeah.
it came out in December. So, yep.
And I don't think we'll have a Star Wars themed episode again this year.
No, I don't think so.
We'll probably wait till next year.
Sounds good.